same story was told about them thousands of years before Christianity that was told about Jesus. They just put the story in another historical setting and changed the names. And Jesus is a symbol for the sun. This is why what was said about him and the way he's depicted is a mirror of the way they depicted Horus, the symbol of the sun in ancient Egypt, how they did for Tammuz, symbol of the sun in ancient Babylon. And wherever you go, you find that these religions are different versions of the sun god, moon goddess religion, which is the religion of those who are conspiring to bring about this Orwellian state. Then you go a step further and you look into the rituals of Freemasonry and the background to Freemasonry and other secret societies that connect into it, like the Jesuits, etc. Just look at the Jesuits' logo. It's sun. And you find again and again in Freemasonry that one of their prime symbols, if not the prime symbol, is the sun. So what you're looking at within the secret societies is another version of the ancient sun god, moon goddess religion, which is their focus of worship, which is the same focus of worship when you look behind the cover story of these major religions. And yet the major religions, certainly Christianity, on the surface condemns Freemasonry and all that stuff. And yet they're all different masks on the same face. And so again, when you take the pyramids up, the compartmentalized pyramid, and you reach the top, you find that the same few, what they call elite families, interbreeding families, bloodlines, are controlling Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Freemasonry, Hinduism. You look at Hinduism again, they are worshipping the same gods from the Vedic history as is worshipped in other forms in the Western religions. And so it's one religion, including the secret societies, but the religions at the base of the pyramid, where people see them in society, are presented in a different way. But it's all the same score, and it's all the same gods that they are. And you go back to the original writings for the Bible. It's not talking about a singular God. That came in the translation. They're talking about gods, and so are the Hindu religions and all the rest of it. So we're looking at the same structure of belief and worship that's packaged in different ways. And of course, once you repackage it, then you can play the different packages off against each other, dividing and rule the general population as religions fight and they argue and all the stuff over who's right and I've got the truth and you've not got the truth. And up there, of course, they're kind of on their backs with their legs in the air, absolutely in hysterics what's going on down here, because they know that it's all the same thing they're arguing about. And of course, if you look at religion, it's been used in such a massively effective way in terms of advancing this agenda. First of all, you've got divide and rule, which any small group trying to control a massive group has to divide and rule the massive group to have any chance of success. But they're also selling belief systems, which are different packages of the same belief system, actually, as I've said. And those belief systems, when you take them on, they close the mind down. And they firewall off the mind, because anything outside of the belief system must be wrong, so you won't look at it. So you turn someone into a person of tunnel vision and tunnel belief. And what we believe, we perceive. We edit reality based on what we believe, and you can see this because, when you're having a conversation with someone who has a real preconceived belief about you, and you're having a conversation and you're saying things to them, and you're sitting there and you say, I never said that. I never said that. Oh, you did. Because what's happening is you are saying things, and it goes through the belief system of the receiver, the preconceived belief about you system, and it edits what's coming in by the time they consciously hear it. They are hearing what you're saying in a way that confirms and underpins their preconceived belief about you. And so once you take on a rigid belief, you edit your reality and perception through that belief. So Christianity goes into Africa, it goes into Australia, it goes into North America, and it destroys, or as much as it could, the thousands of years of knowledge and understanding that's been passed through that culture, and imposes upon it the rigid beliefs of Christianity, therefore taking out, because anything that was not about the rigid beliefs of Christianity, it's the devil, you know. I mean, Credo Mutwa, the Zulu shaman in South Africa, a great, great friend of mine, wonderful, wonderful man, he was beaten silly as a kid for depicting Jesus as a black man in a painting, you know, and he tells the story of how the Jesuits and all these people went into Africa, and it became a crime to talk about, and certainly to believe, the ancient African knowledge that's come through the centuries, through the shamanistic streams. That was the devil and all the rest of it, and destroying the ancient knowledge of reality, of history, and all the rest of it, which we really need to have access to get another fix on how we can look at the world and history in a different way, outside of the official history, which has been written simply to get people to see the world and where we've come from in a way that suits the agenda. So religion's just a fantastic weapon for this conspiracy we're talking about.
And there is corruption even amongst the family of Prophet Muhammad. Because unfortunately, like it happened with Jesus, like it happened with Moses, like it happened with every single messenger of light on this planet, the day after they're dead, they already start going their own way, making their own changes to their religion, to manipulate whatever the message was and adapt it to their own, to their own situation. I mean, these messengers obviously come for a specific mission.
Well, the next thing on from the connections between religion and secret societies and the gods that they worship is Satanism, because that's just another arm of this. This might be controversial to the believers in the religions and stuff. You've got the ancient gods, which were translated into God, which are worshipped by the religions unknowingly, most of them. Same with the secret societies. And the same gods, demonic entities as they're called in this case, that are worshipped by the Satanists, are the same gods that are worshipped by the secret societies and the religions, unknowingly. In Satanism, it's knowingly. And these gods, these non-human entities, operate just outside the frequency range of human sight, what is known as visible light. It's so important for people to understand that when they look through their eyes, they're not seeing everything that exists in the space they're looking at. We call space anyway. They're looking at merely a tiny frequency range that our five senses can access. It's like a television station. It's like a holographic television station. And it's sharing the same space as all the other realities, what, increasingly the cutting edge of mainstream science are calling parallel universes, see each other. There's a wireless internet in this room now, but we're not aware of it. But you get a computer and you tune it into that wireless internet, suddenly out of the ether, out of where, comes the internet on your computer screen. And this physical form, this body computer as I call it, tunes us in to a certain frequency range, which is what we perceive through the five senses. But in the same space, or other frequency range, there's other dimensions of reality, if you like, which are sharing the same space. Now, most of the time, we're not aware of them, just like television stations are not aware of each other. But of course, in a situation where you might tune onto a radio station and it's very, very close to another station, you get interference, where the two radio stations interact with each other. And that's what can happen with these realities, where there's another reality that's really, really close to us on the frequency scale. They can actually be a crossing over between the two. And in satanic ritual, one of the reasons they do it, one of them, is to create an energy environment through the way the ritual is conducted, which allows like a vibrational window or doorway to open, which allows these entities to enter the ritual. I've talked to endless people around the world who've seen this, actually experienced it. Suddenly this seriously horrible, often, looking entity, appears in the so-called magic circle, which is a vibrational field. That's what it is. You know, they don't use these pentagrams and stuff just for fun. I mean, some of them might, you know, the lower ones who don't really understand it, but the ones that are really involved, that understand the way reality works and how you can manipulate it, these pentagrams and these various symbols used in Satanism, like the reversed pentagram is the classic satanic symbol, and the circle around it, they are vibrational fields. That's why they do these rituals. And the entity can enter this reality, the range of visible light, in other words, what we can see, within that vibrational field. And suddenly the gods appear. And these gods, as they're perceived, feed off human energy. They feed off low vibrational human energy, low vibrational emotional energy, all round based on fear, stress, hatred, guilt, all these things, these low vibrational emotions. And another way they feed off human energy is by human sacrifice. What they do in the sacrifice is they'll have the victim, and they go through this ritual, and they build up the ritual to gain maximum terror from the victim. So now there's a tremendous energy, not just of fear, but of absolute terror. And then at the point of sacrifice, that energy is released massively. And these gods that are operating just outside human sight feed off that energy, because that terror, that low vibrational energy, represents the energy field that they are vibrating to, and therefore they can absorb that energy. They can't absorb the higher dimensional energies. They have to have low vibrational energies. Look at society. It's structured to create massive fear, stress, all these things from the population. And it's feeding these, quote, gods. And that enters the bloodstream at the point of sacrifice. And then these sick people drink the blood because it's got that adrenaline in it, and it gives them this rush. What shocked me when I started to understand this and investigate this was the scale of it. The scale is astonishing. And there's people in America who've been involved in their careers in things like the FBI, who've been investigating it in America. And one of them said, it is on such a scale, Satanism, that if you have a reasonably wide circle of friends, associates, and acquaintances, you will know a Satanist who's involved in this stuff. Now, when you start relating this stuff to history, you come across this common theme everywhere of making sacrificial offerings to the gods of animals and of young virgins. The young virgin sacrificed to the gods. Find it everywhere. Of course, in places like the Aztec period in Central America, they were doing it bloody en masse, thousands of sacrifices. And what was that? It was merely what is happening today. Is pubescent, pre-sexual activity energy. That's why they want children. That's why you had the young virgin sacrifice. They were kids. That's why they do it today, for this very reason. And there are certain points where there are vortexes within the Earth energy field. And these vortexes, as they spin, they're basically places where the connection between this dimension and other dimensions is much thinner, much closer, because of the nature of the vortex. It's basically spinning two dimensions together, in effect. And so if you do the rituals on these vortexes, then it is